up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the fantasy football week 1 startums, situms. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. We're going to try to do at least 3 startums, 3 situms, and a couple sleepers for each position. We're going to start with the quarterback position, and here I've got Matt Ryan. It's going to be a very good matchup for him home against the Buccaneers. He always lights them up pretty well. And being that it's the home opener for the Falcons, it should give him that much more, desire and heart and passion behind everything. Matt Ryan plays his heart out. He's a must-have. We've also got Andrew Luck in his debut against the Detroit Lions at home, I believe. This is like a really good matchup because Andrew Luck's coming back off a major injury, and he wants to prove himself once again in Week 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, I take Andrew Luck at home with my second quarterback slot. With the third one, we're going to take Russell Wilson at home against the Dolphins. It's always a favorable matchup when the Seahawks are at home. You know, anybody is of good stock fantasy-wise. So we're going to take Russell Wilson at home against the Dolphins. He should play his heart out. You know, we're going with a rookie coach in the Miami Dolphins. Look for Russell Wilson to throw him out and play his heart out. Sorry about that. Okay, next up we've got the sleeper quarterbacks. We're gonna all think about Kirk Cousins Monday night at home against the Steelers. The Steelers have one of the weaker defenses in the NFL. You know, they've got some talent, but they don't have like what it really takes. You know, they're not an all-star defense. So I'm gonna take Kirk Cousins at home against the Steelers, one of the sleeper picks. Carson Palmer, he's been a fantasy must-have over the past couple years with Arizona. I really think he comes out and plays decent ball, and he could be a sleeper pick start for fantasy quarterbacks this weekend. At home against the Patriots defense, who hasn't really, again, like the Steelers defense, they are better than the Steelers defense. I will say that, but I think they've lost a lot of players, and players have failed drug tests, and at home, I think the Redskins defense is a must-have. Also, including, the Cardinals. The Cardinals defense is a must-have. Sorry about that. At home against Patriots, I think Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu coming off his big contract. They're going to play really hard, and they're hard to beat at home. So grab Carson Palmer against the Patriots as a sleeper pick. Sorry about that. Derek Carr against the Saints. I think they're at New Orleans, the Raiders. But I think the Saints defense is still looking to find what it's, all about and everything like that. I think it's going to be a tough opposition, having AC/DC, Amari Cooper, and Derek Carr. I think they're going to really light it up. So, Derek Carr against the Saints. That's your sleeper picks. Here's your sit-em quarterbacks for Week 1. We're going to go with Jay Cutler at Houston. He hasn't really been a fantasy quarterback over the last few years. A lot of people will agree to the notion that Jay Cutler is one of the worst quarterbacks in fantasy football, which is why he's at the top of the sit-em list here. He's going to Houston to play one of the meaner defenses in the NFL. You've got J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, players all across the backside, and they've just been stacking up players over the past year, and so that's a very bad matchup. Jay Cutler will probably end up tossing a couple interceptions, be under pressure the whole game. He's your main sit-em quarterback. Andy Dalton is the next one at New York Jets. The Jets defense looking to make a statement here on 9/11. And they've got, Revis covering A.J. Green. I think it's going to be a very confusing matchup for Andy Dalton. He's probably, at most, going to throw a 1-touchdown pass. Looks like a very bad matchup for him. We've got Phillip Rivers going to Kansas City. Chargers-Chiefs is a bitter rivalry between two teams in the same division. Phillip Rivers will not get the best of Kansas City at Arrowhead. It's going to be very hard to play. Season opener, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's very hard for any quarterback to play. And then we've got the last sit-em as Ryan Tannehill going to CenturyLink Field to play at Seattle. So yeah, not only is he going from down there at the bottom of the country all the way to the top left, from Miami to Seattle, he's going to play one of the meaner defenses in the NFL. It's a hard secondary to play against, a hard city to play in, and a hard stadium of fans to play against. So he's your main sit-em for for the quarterbacks. All right, next we're going to get into the running backs. I've got at stardom, I've got Devontae Freeman and Doug Martin, both coming out of the same game. One plays for the Falcons, one plays for the Buccaneers. Both players are both all-star running backs. We already know that. Devontae Freeman with a huge showing last year, as a major starting running back for the Falcons. He's going to get a lot of good carries. The Falcons are home. You need to take Doug Martin also because Doug Martin's, I believe he's got a chip on his shoulder, man. He's coming off an injury, and he started to play really, really well last year, but didn't really play the whole season, I believe. Doug Martin is a must-start. David Johnson at home against the Patriots. He's a really good matchup. I got Eddie Lacy at Jacksonville. Eddie Lacy's coming off an injury also. These are all all-star running backs. David Johnson began to show himself as a must-start running back last year as the Cardinals' offense started to, grow and become more diverse in the passing and running game. So you must grab Eddie Lacy, David Johnson, Doug Martin, and Devontae Freeman as your fantasy top four starting running backs. Sleepers, I've got Latavius Murray against the New Orleans Saints. I believe that's a very good matchup for him. Matt Forte against the Bengals could be a sleeper pick for running back for the New York Jets. Todd Gurley at San Francisco is another sleeper pick because he's not a starter because the Rams are traveling to face a division opponent. But I do think, Todd Gurley always puts up pretty good numbers, so he's a sleeper pick. Sit 'em running backs. Number one is Jeremy Hill having to play against one of the scarier front sevens in the NFL in the New York Jets. New York Jets only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns total last year against teams at home at New York. So that's going to be a very hard matchup for Jeremy Hill. Melvin Gordon, I would sit him at Arrowhead. Chargers starting running back is a very tough matchup to play against that. That's another scary front seven in the Chiefs, and it's a home opener. It's hard to play any fantasy players as the opposing team, Then Jeremy Langford, a Chicago running back. I really don't think he's made an identity completely. He started to last year, but he didn't make a complete identity. And he's going to face one of the tougher run defenses in the NFL, the Texans. Got DeMarco Murray at home against the Vikings. I would sit him also because he's still trying to figure out the scheme, I believe. I don't think he's 100% DeMarco Murray again. I don't think he's going to fit in the Titans' offense like a lot of people are saying he will. But we'll see. Sit him this week. So sit DeMarco Murray, Jeremy Langford, Melvin Gordon, and Jeremy Hill. Those are your 4 sit-em running backs for this week. Wide receivers. We're going to start with starting Malcolm Floyd against the Patriots. And let me tell you why. Start Malcolm Floyd because he's the number 2 receiver for the Cardinals, but he's also the number 1 at the same time. Larry Fitzgerald is questionable for this game. If he does play, Malcolm Floyd is going to get a lot of catches because the Patriots have been struggling trying to figure out who their number 2 corner is going to be. I would definitely start Malcolm Floyd against the Patriots. He should get a lot of catches. Julio Jones is always a must-start against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers don't have a shutdown corner, and the Falcons are home. Matt Ryan's going to throw him a lot of balls. Julio Jones. Mike Evans at Atlanta at the same time. There's a lot of fantasy stock in this Falcons-Buccaneers game. It's a big divisional rival. Indoor stadium at the Georgia Dome. Players like to play indoors, so start Mike Evans. The Falcons don't have a shutdown corner either, and Mike Evans is the number 1 receiver on the Buccaneers. I'll start Odell Beckham at Dallas. A lot of people are going to hate on me for this, but Dallas has... Orlando Scandrick is a good corner. He's a really good corner, but he's not a shutdown corner. I don't think he'll be able to shut down Odell entirely. And Odell did make that famous grab, against the Cowboys. So he's a very definite week 1 start. He's got to prove something that he's back to play again this year. So Odell, Floyd, Julio, and Mike Evans are your starters for week 1. Your sleeper receivers, Randall Cobb at Jacksonville. I think he's going to go back to being the Packers' either number 1 or number 2 receiver. Either way, he's going to get a lot of grabs at Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't have a shutdown corner. Josh Gordon, the Browns receiver, back after his suspension. He could get a lot of receptions this week at Philadelphia. The Eagles are still searching for that shutdown corner also. Sammy Watkins at Baltimore, the Bills receiver. He's another sleeper pick because Tyrod loves throwing him the ball. He just does. Sit-ems. I'm sitting Antonio Brown at Washington, and let me tell you why. The Redskins recently acquired Josh Norman, a shutdown corner. One of the best in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. It's true. He runs his mouth a lot, but he backs it up. He's going to be able to pretty much contain Antonio Brown the whole game. And, you know, besides Le'Veon Bell and maybe Martavis Bryant, who's not playing neither one are playing in this game. You know, that's the Steelers' target. So everybody's going to be facing up against Antonio Brown. He's going to be a sit-em for this week, I believe. A.J. Green will be shut down at New York Jets. He'll be trapped on Revis Island. If not, if Revis can't hold him by himself, which is a very unlikely possibility, then the rest of the Jets defense will. We've got Jarvis Landry. I'm going to sit him at Seattle. You know, it's one-on-one against the LOB. It's hard to play Richard Sherman, you know, Cam Chancellor. Julian Edelman at Arizona. I'm going to sit him also because it's a tough matchup against Patrick Peterson. And, you know, the Patriots don't have a lot to throw to. And I don't think he'll get many catches anyway with, who is it? Who's the Patriots? Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback of the Patriots. He's not, I don't think that's a very good matchup at all. Tight ends, I'm going to start Travis Kelce against the Chargers defense. A very good matchup at home, you know, home opener for Travis Kelce. And the Chargers have one of the easier to pick apart defenses, so he should get a lot of catches. Start Jimmy Graham at home against the Dolphins in Seattle. Jason Witten at home against the Giants is also a must-start. A sleeper is Delaney Walker against the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people dropped, you know, let Delaney Walker fall in the draft, and I don't know why. He has been the most consistent target the Titans have had over the past few years. Delaney Walker should really produce this weekend. Okay, and your sit tight ends. I'm going to sit Heath Miller against the Washington Redskins. I don't think he's going to do very well. It's hard to play against the Redskins defense when you're a tight end. I'm going to sit whoever the Bengals tight end. I'm not sure who it is. Might be Jermaine Gresham. No, I think he's a free agent. Whoever the Bengals tight ends, because the Jets have one of the better defenses. I think it was the number 7 last year against tight ends. You know, sit him. Sit Zach Ertz. You know, he's a guy who really has what used to be an all-star, one of the finer tight ends in the NFL, but I don't see him getting a lot of catches from his rookie quarterback, and I think it's going to be a tough matchup anyway against the Browns defense, who has revamped and they're looking a lot better. Greg Olsen, one of the big starting tight ends. I'm going to sit him this week at Denver. I think Von Miller and the rest of the Denver defense keeps him in check very well, and they lock him down, and Cam Newton's going to have to find somebody else to throw to. All right, the defenses. The defense. All right, we're going to start the Seahawks defense at home against the Dolphins. They're going to give Ryan Tannehill and the rookie coach Adam Gase all sorts of fits the whole game. We're going to also start the Cardinals defense at home against the Patriots. The first ever real, huge starting opportunity for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's going to fluster very bad. Patriots will not only lose this one, but the Cardinals defense will keep them shut down almost the whole game. The Bills defense at Baltimore, Joe Flacco's returning, but he's off an injury, and we really don't know, besides Mike Wallace, I think, we really don't know who Steve Smith, I think he's on the Ravens. We really don't know if the Ravens are ready to fight yet. I would start the Bills defense because they're one of the better defenses in the NFL anyway. And it's a good matchup. The Texans at home against the Bears, like I said earlier, it's a bad matchup for Jay Cutler and Jeremy Langford and all the players that are on the Bears. The sleeper defenses would be the Jets against the Bengals. This could be a tight game and come down to the wire, but we really don't know. We want to see, if the Jets can contain A.J. Green, it's going to be a hard game for Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. Redskins defense, if they can contain Antonio Brown, they're a sleeper pick also because Steelers aren't going to have much options at all to throw to or run against, and that could put them in a hole. The Colts defense at home against the Lions is also a sleeper pick. We're going to want to sit down the Buccaneers defense at home against the Falcons. The Patriots defense at Arizona is going to be bad to shut down. It's going to be a bad starter. And the Steelers defense, if anybody has them, is a bad start to go to Washington. Now, there's something in common between these sitting defenses, and that's because they're all road defenses. They're all, incomplete rosters, in my opinion. The Patriots are missing their quarterback. The Steelers are missing their running back and one of their receivers. The Buccaneers are missing a lot of pieces across the board. So, yeah, those are your three sit-em defenses. And now we're going to get to the kickers, the final portion of the video. And I'm not going to really summarize. I'm just going to say it because these teams have good kickers that play well against the certain defense they're playing against. Starting, we're going to go with Dan Bailey at home against the Giants. Adam Vinatieri at home against the Lions, the Colts kicker. Stephen Gostkowski is always a must-start, and this is going to be a battle down to the wire, I believe, at Arizona. We'll see how that goes. And Matt Prater, the Lions kicker at Indianapolis, is going to be a must-start also. We're going to sit Mike Nugent, the Bengals kicker, because the Jets allow one of the fewest amount of points to the kickers in the league. Stephen Hauschka, I'm going to sit him against the Dolphins. I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be able to hold the Seahawks offense at all. So I do think that he's just going to be getting, if anything, extra points after extra points, maybe one field goal somewhere in there. He's not going to get many points. Justin Tucker at home against the Bills, because the Bills' defense is going to lock down pretty much the whole whatever the Ravens' offense is. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. That's your sit-ems, start-ems. I took way too long in that video. For week 1, your sit-ems, start-ems, and your sleeper picks. Let me know what you guys think. You should start in the comments below. And let's get ready for some football. Stay tuned because the week 1 predictions for every single game is going to be coming up next.